the Called Churches, and founder and president of STAND. Staying true to America's national destiny, the voice of the awakening. Your host, Bishop E. W. Jackson.
And I am he. Great to be with you again today. It is First Amendment Friday, folks. I'm looking forward to getting your calls in earlier than we normally do on the program. Let me get things introduced this segment, and then we will come right to your calls in the next. The number is 888-589-8840. First thing I want to say is we are counting down 17 days to the STAND Awards dinner on May 17th at 7 p.m. at the Tyson's Corner Marriott in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. And all of my Virginia listeners, as I've said before, courtesy of American Family Radio and some other very generous donors, we have some complimentary tickets available to you. They will run out, I have no doubt. They will run out. But I would encourage you to get yours while you can and come. You're going to have a great time, an absolutely wonderful time. It's going to be inspiring and uplifting and encouraging, and you'll get to meet other patriots from around the country who are taking a stand for the principles, the values that made America the greatest nation on earth. Our honorees include Winsome Sears, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Mark Robinson, Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, Mark Gonzalez, the founder and president of the Hispanic Action Network, Mary Graybar, author of Debunking the 1619 Project, Jason Johnson, President and Executive Director of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. All of them doing great work. And, of course, you'll have an opportunity to meet officers of STAND and people from around the country who have been supporting us. So I just encourage you to get your complimentary tickets. All you've got to do is email awardsdinner@standamerica.us and say, I'd like to get those 2 complimentary tickets. Remember, 2 tickets available for each adult who claims them. And if you've got young people ages 12 through 20, who, would like to come, college kids or high school kids and, middle school kids who you think would really benefit from it, then we will make some tickets available to them too. You just have to let us know how many you need and who they are until they run out. But for, in the normal course, 2 tickets per adult. So it's awards dinner at standamerica.us. 17 days left. We are counting down. I know the course tickets won't be available all 17 days, but 17 days counting down to the STAND Awards dinner. It's interesting, just to comment a little bit further on this. The first one we had was in 2019, just before COVID hit, so we haven't been able to do them for the last 2 years. But our honorees for the first dinner included people like General Jerry Boykin, who is a war hero, one of the founding members of our Special Operations troops in combat action twice. He was really one of the commanders in the Black Hawk Down situation in, I believe that was Mogadishu, and was one of the people who helped collect up our fallen heroes who ended up fighting in that situation. And Jenny Thomas, as you all know, the wife of Justice Clarence Thomas, and she is under siege right now. She's, these people are just so full of hatred and bitterness and anger. But she was one of our honorees at our first dinner, and continues to be a friend and a warrior for freedom in our country, and God bless her. If she were a liberal, they would be commending her for her own independent thought and doing things that she believes in and so forth. But because she is conservative, her husband should resign from the court, because after all, she was having texts back and forth with I think it was Kevin McCarthy, and just a lot of nonsense. There's nothing that she said or did that in any way was responsible for stoking violence. She was interested in making sure that the election outcome was in fact what the outcome was supposed to be. And she thought, as many did, and I'm one of them, that the only way you can assure that, you got to slow the process down and go back and review and make sure everything is in place. That is not a coup. That is not an attempt to overthrow the election. That is not an attempt to overthrow the country. That's an attempt to make sure that the election outcome is one that we can all trust. That's all it is. I'm an American. I'm a patriot. I love this country. I love our electoral process. But I think there's some cheating and some shenanigans going on that the Democrats, who simply don't have any sort of moral frame of reference, are more than willing to engage in, as long as it gets them the outcome they want. And I denounce that. I denounce anybody who would do that. I've said before, folks, and I mean this with all my heart, I'd rather lose an election than cheat to win. Because I trust God that He's going to take care of this country and that I don't have to lie and cheat and steal in order to save our country. But I don't think the Democrats believe that, because they're imbued with such Marxism at this point in socialism that they really think the ends justifies the means, and whatever they have to do to get the victory they want, they're willing to do. So she did nothing wrong. Anyway, one of our honorees, I mean, this is the quality of the people. Ken Blackwell, former Secretary of State for Ohio, former mayor of Cincinnati, appointed to the UN as Ambassador for Human Rights by Ronald Reagan, none other than the Gipper, Ronald Reagan. And Sar Parker, president and founder of CURE, woman, former welfare queen, so to speak, who got a hold of God and got saved and realized she could do something with her life, and her life didn't have to be that, and she created one of the premier organizations in the country for dealing with the problems of urban America. So those are the kinds of folks we're honoring, and believe me, these honorees are of equal stature, and people who are really just doing great work for our country and great work for God. And I hope you'll come and be a part of honoring them and meeting all the other patriots that we'll have there from around the country who are dedicated to making sure that we save America. Well, look, speaking of saving America, here's the issue of the day as far as I am concerned. The ministry of truth. Now, folks, I talked about this yesterday, but it is almost beyond, I keep saying, you say things and you think, but that can't possibly be right. Here we are in a situation in which this administration has decided that they are going to create what you would have to call essentially a censorship department, the Disinformation Governance Board. And you know what they're up to, because the woman that they're putting the head of that, at the head of Nina Jankowicz, was one of the big promoters of the idea that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russia disinformation, and she was out on that. They had no proof of that. They had no evidence of that. In fact, all the evidence was pointing the other way, but she, in fact, was the minister of disinformation. She was out front promoting this lie. And this is who Biden chooses to put in charge of the Disinformation Governance Board? You know what they're up to. This is what I keep saying to you all. Be encouraged. I hate seeing this stuff, believe me. This is so anti-American, so antithetical to everything we believe in. It is hard to even fathom that you could be stupid enough to just step that far away from our Constitution. But that's what they're doing. This is contrary to the First Amendment. Well, as it turns out, she also has a history of saying you can't say certain things about certain people online. I mean, she basically says you just can't, you shouldn't be allowed to. You know, you don't have the right not to be offended. You can respond, but you don't have the right to say, you can't say anything that offends me, that I don't like. That's not the way our constitutional republic works. We'll be back in a moment to start taking your calls.
This is Viewpoints with Kirby Anderson.
I go to bookstores frequently, but I don't ever venture into the area of books for children. But a recent video and column by John Stossel has changed that. Go into Barnes & Noble, says Bethany Mandel, and you will be met with a wall of biographies, probably 27 different books about former Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She also talks about lots of books about Kamala Harris. But what about biographies on conservatives like Margaret Thatcher or Amy Coney Barrett? According to Bethany Mandel, there are none. That is why she started a company that told the story of heroes of liberty like Ronald Reagan and Thomas Sowell. Her top seller is a biography of Sowell, who overcame adversity to become a famous economist. When Sowell's family moved to New York, his new teachers put him in a lower grade because they assumed he couldn't compete. He didn't play the victim, but asked to see the principal. It's an encouraging story. John Stossel reminds us that conservatives make about half of the country, so you would assume that book publishers would want to appeal to them. But that is not what is happening. Bethany Mandel explains that libraries buy many more books than moms and dads, so there's an incentive to churn out books that librarians will buy. But most of us, including John Stossel, assume that librarians would be apolitical. But he provides one statistic that shows that 90% of librarians' political donations go to Democrats. Our tax dollars are used to buy thousands of copies of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and 0 copies of Amy Coney Barrett. Fortunately, there are alternatives. Heroes of Faith and Tuttle Twins are some conservative alternatives, and Christian publishers have been providing inspiring books as well. Unfortunately, you won't find these books in your local library. I'm Kirby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
For a free copy of Kirby's booklet, A Biblical View on Inflation, go to viewpoints.info/inflation. That's viewpoints.info/inflation.
Introducing AFA Streaming, a new online platform that hosts all AFA-produced video content, including documentaries, church curriculum, American Family Radio shows, and our Cultural Institute series.
The Constitution only works in the atmosphere of Christianity.
Critical race theory and intersectionality are new religious frameworks. The Christian must say, as Paul said to the Galatians, there is no new gospel.
AFA Streaming is a vital step that we are taking to fulfill our vision to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training for cultural transformation. You'll find top-notch resources that address the issues of our day related to marriage, family, the sanctity of life, and many others. Start streaming today, streaming.afa.net.
The Awakening. The Awakening. Download and listen at your leisure with the podcast page at afr.net. Now, back to our host, Bishop E.W. Jackson.
Folks, the number is 888-589-8840. I'm going to introduce a few topics while you all call in. And as soon as we get some callers lined up and ready, we will start taking your calls. It is First Amendment Friday. I want to hear from you about any story that's happened this week, or any story that we've talked about, or any story that we haven't talked about that you think we should have talked about. This woman, Jankowicz, believes that there should be censorship of things that she thinks shouldn't be heard. That's who they're putting in charge of the Disinformation Governance Board. So, for example, she says that the Internet is a place of misogyny, and that it should be, we should stop the misogyny on the Internet. It should not be allowed. And she says, let's see, well, obviously all of this stuff she claims is a threat to our democracy. Here we go again, a threat to our democracy. It's not a democracy, it's a constitutional republic. Oh, she says, being a woman online is inherently dangerous. So in other words, because some things that were said about Kamala Harris she didn't like, and some of them were vulgar and you know, somewhat ugly. No, I'm not talking about threats to her life or anything like that. Just things that were insulting. But look, folks, if I had $1, and I'm not nearly as well known by any stretch of the imagination as Kamala Harris, if I had $1 for every negative thing that somebody said about me, I'd be very, very wealthy. You're telling me this, like, that is life. You know, as long as somebody's not threatening you physically or threatening your family, and it may not be fun, it may not be ugly, although I have to tell you, sometimes I really do laugh at some of the stupid things people say about me. It just makes me laugh, because I just think, you, what an idiot. But we live in a free country, and you can't have freedom if you start saying, well, wait a minute, we're not going to allow certain ugly types of things that we don't like to be heard. That's just the way it works. I'd rather be insulted in a free nation and have people with the ability to say ugly things about me if they want, and I'm not just making about me, but just using this as an example, and to say anything they want in disagreement with anything I believe, so that I also have the freedom to say whatever I want. That's the way you preserve freedom. But these people clearly don't want freedom. You remember when President Biden ridiculed freedom when he said, you know, people were talking about all these mandates, and he said, freedom. And with a sneer, freedom. Like freedom. And then they started saying that the truckers in Canada were using freedom. It was right-wing code language for racism and fascism. And the flag now represents, remember we hear people say, I see all those American flags, it makes me uncomfortable. To which I say, well then just get out. Just leave. Go where some other flag is flown. Thank you very much. It is the flag of the United States of America. We're going to fly it, and we're going to fly it often. We're going to fly it high. We're going to fly it proudly. And if you don't like it, go. But but look, here again, that person has the right to say they don't like the flag, and I've got the right to say I love it. So, and as long as they don't try to lay hands on me and I don't try to lay hands on them, that's called freedom of speech, folks. But these people don't want that. They don't want freedom. They're always pointing the finger at conservatives, accusing us of being fascists, but the reality is they are the fascists, the totalitarianists, who want to shut down all opposition. I've said this before, and it's worth repeating right now, and then we'll come to your calls. They want a one-party state. That's really what they want. They want a one-party state so that they have absolute control over everything and everybody. That's what they're going for. But they've tipped their hand now, folks. They've tipped the Disinformation Governance Board. Wow. You know, just keep going. Keep going like you are, so that all of the American people see that these people shouldn't be allowed anywhere near power, because when you put power in their hands, it is dangerous to the future of our country and dangerous to us all, because they have no regard for us. Their only regard is for themselves, their agenda, and their own power. Okay, let's start getting some calls in here. Let's go to Jason in Texas. Jason, welcome.
Hey, Brother Bishop, man, I love talking to you. I love listening to you.
Thank you, bro.
God bless your ministry. And I know you're blessed. I'm blessed as well. And we're glad to hear your son's doing better.
Thank you.
I want to make 2 points real quick. All right. For the one, you know, because I can't say anything on social media, because I believe a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. And I know when life begins at conception. And, you know, you can't say none of that. So what they did was they turned my truck into my own social media. And, you know, I'm completely stickered out. So I already told my wife I'm going to have to invest in a trailer now because I got more to say. But my latest sticker is easily offended people offend me. You know, I get flipped off every day for flying my flag on the back of my truck, and you know,
really
my stickers. But yes, every day.
Wow.
Every day. All lives matter just drives people nuts, including the baby's lives. So. I don't mind these people flipping me off because I got my guns on me. I don't, you know, whatever. Flip me off. So they got to deal with my speech out here in the real world. But the second thing I wanted to say, too, is I'm over here in Conroe, and my mom's next-door neighbor is a school teacher, and they have grown adult males, like 25, 26 years old, illegal immigrants being put into these schools with these young kids.
What?
And they're going in with full beards, facial hair. Sarah, next-door neighbor, she's a school teacher at the high school, and she says you can look at these people and tell they're grown adults going to school with these kids. So
Wow.
I hope you can look into that, and
Yeah.
everything's upside down.
Thank you, Jason.
God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you, brother. Wow, that's why I love hearing from you all. That's a new one. I had not heard that one. But you know what? It makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you've got hundreds of thousands of people coming into the country every single month, it's just straining the ability to handle all these people. It makes perfect sense that you'd end up with results like this, where grown men being put in school with children, with young kids. And since some of these people coming across we know are predators because we've caught them and arrested them, I'm surprised the Biden administration hasn't released them, because after all, it's probably our fault that they're child predators. Putting these people, adults, in with kids, I mean, wow. Folks, it's just, you just, here again, you can't come to any other conclusion but that these people hate us. And by the way, for those people who get offended by the flag, just go ahead and get offended, because you know what, like I said earlier, Jason, we're going to keep flying it high and proud and strong, whether they like it or not. And as you said, they can act ugly as long as they don't touch you, as long as they don't put their hands on you, that they can feel free to disagree. All right. Thank you for the call, my friend. Let's go to Max in Georgia. Max, welcome.
Reverend Jackson,
yes.
It's a pleasure to be in touch with you today and hear your voice. I just want to share with you, I am an avid listener of yours.
Thank you.
However, I wanted to share with you, I went to the Ark in the Creation Museum last week, and I took note of a couple of things in there that I wanted to share. And I told my friend I had to call you and tell you about
it.
Because I know you know it. But anyway, since the beginning of time, we've had global warming and global cooling. There is nothing new. I don't understand how anybody can come up with this thing that we're having a crisis because of global warming. It's happened throughout the years, and it's going to continue to happen as long as God don't call us home. And anyway, I just wanted to share with you my thoughts. I say, and I encourage everybody to go to the Ark and go to the Creation Museum. I like to put a great
all right.
book. They did a great job in depicting what the Bible says, and then what Noah went through to
Amen.
God.
Thank you, Max. I got it, Max. Thank you for the call. We're about to come up to a break here. Max, my wife and I are going to go visit the Ark because my wife really wants to go badly, and we just haven't been able. We are back and forth to Kentucky quite a bit, but always with a schedule. And we really want to go because I've heard that it is magnificent. And by the way, I agree with you entirely. These people who want us to pull our hair out and go crazy, and I don't know what they want, but because the world's coming to an end, in about 9 years now. Yeah, we've only got 9 years, everybody. Yeah, and then global warming and climate change is going to kill us all anyway. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And I know. Turn all power over to them to save us. That's what it means. Of course. What am I thinking? Just turn everything. Turn your thermostat over to them. Turn your car over to them. Turn your food over to them. Turn everything over to them, and they will make all the decisions that need to be made in order to save your life. Now, you won't be free, and you won't have anything, but other than that, everything will be great because they'll be in charge. Right? Because that's what it's all about. That's what the agenda is. And I'll tell you something, folks. The day that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or one of these other 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse have my life turned over to them, that ain't happening. But we'll leave it at that. Stand by. We'll be back in a moment.
It's my turn.
Okay, I'll be right back.
My turn. Don Wildman.
Valdemir A. Sinkinhoff, an accounting clerk in the Moldavian town of Kishinev in Russia, always listened to his wife's advice. In 1947, Mrs. Zinkenkopf advised him to go into hiding after he woke up from a drinking spree and found that he had lost 400 valuable rationing cards entrusted to him by his boss. From 1947 to 1969, 22 years, the frightened clerk stayed in a small room of his house and never stepped outside. In 1969, Mrs. Zinkenkopf died, and Valdemir went to the police to turn himself in. You know, Valdemir was like so many people. Too many of us, when we're faced with some problem, always try to do our best to avoid the problem rather than facing it. This is what Valdemir did. He hid from the problem, ran from it, hoping it would go away. He was unwilling to face up to the situation, so he wasted 22 years of his life hiding from the problem. We never solve any problem by running or hiding from it. We solve our problems only as we meet and deal with them as best we can. True, no problem is pleasant, but pleasant or not, we still must deal with it. Remember the Galilean? He had a way of dealing with his problems. He never ran from them. He never hid. He faced them, met them head on as they came. He was prepared for them. I guess we could learn from that, to be prepared. It's what some of our modern-day business people call being on top of the problem. But it's hard to be on top of a problem that you aren't prepared for. Then, too, the Galilean had confidence that there was no problem big enough to whip him and his Creator. He had full confidence in that. He never doubted, never wavered in his firm belief that his Father was sufficient for all occasions. And you know, it's something of worth in that also, to have faith that our Creator is there, come what may. To know that He will never forsake us, never leave us alone. It gives a person the ability to face problems that others run and hide from. Oh, there was one other thing about the carpenter. He was willing to face any problem that lay before him with full confidence and assurance that he could accept the solution offered. True, he did not always have the solution he wanted. Remember the cross? But staying true to his Father and himself, he took the solution that came and made it work. And there's some medicine in that for us also, to do our best, to trust our Father, and to be willing to take even the unwanted and undeserved solutions, if necessary, and to turn them into constructive situations. Incidentally, this way of dealing with our problems sure beats hiding. Ask Valdemir Zinkenkopf. After hiding for 22 years, he was told that the cards he had lost while on the drinking spree were found in his desk drawer. Incidentally, they were found on the day he went into hiding some 22 years earlier.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
The Awakening. The Awakening. Download and listen at your leisure with the podcast page at AFR.net. Now, back to our host, Bishop E.W. Jackson.
And by the way, folks, this news is just coming out, but the American Academy of Pediatrics has developed a puberty guide for everybody. It's called Uology, a puberty guide for everybody. Now, I want to say this carefully because I don't want to violate any of our standards, but what they are doing is trying to teach children how to have the proper sexual reaction in light of their gender identity. I'll leave the rest to your imagination, but they're trying to teach a girl who thinks she's a boy how she should react sexually, and a boy who thinks he's a girl how... Yeah, folks, this is another reason why I say We respect experts, what the expertise that they bring, the knowledge that they have, but we don't turn our lives over to them because they can be some of the biggest fools on the planet. And that's what these people are, fools. American Association of Pediatrics. 888-589-8840. I tell you what, I guess they won't be censored. You can rest assured of that. That'll be promoted. Okay, let's come back to your calls. You've been waiting very patiently. Let's go to Pat in Texas. Pat, welcome.
Hey, yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call. I was just wondering if you heard anything about this John Durham case where he took Global Fusion to court and, taking Hillary, trying to bring all those documents about the Russian collusion, about Hillary, Hillary's campaign to light. And then the next thing you know, within 2 weeks, starts COVID going crazy. It's starting to come back again. Just wondering, and then all of a sudden that John Durham case is kind of pushed under the rug.
Yeah, well, you can rest assured, Pat, thank you for the call, by the way. You can rest assured, Pat, that the mainstream media is not interested in this at all, and they're going to do everything they can to suppress this story. But I think that John Durham, based on what I'm hearing, is just moving very, very judicially and very deliberately. I think that, as you know, the grand jury deliberations are secret, so we're not privy to what's going on in the grand jury. But right now, he's got a number of matters before the grand jury for indictment right now, and I think that others are expected to be indicted. Who they are, we do not know. The other thing he's got to deal with, let's face it, he still works for the Justice Department, and I guarantee you they're obstructing him. So we need to be praying for that one, folks, because it really is pretty much out of our hands. It's in the hands now of the criminal justice system, in the hands of the special prosecutor, John Durham, and in the hands of a grand jury. So, but don't be surprised if the mainstream media does everything in their power to suppress this story. Thank you for the call, Pat. Let's go to Mildred in Ohio. Mildred, welcome.
There's something happening in our area I thought you might be interested in knowing about. I live about halfway between Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Toledo, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called LifeWise Academy. They're teaching the Bible to the kids. They take them off campus. They can't do it on the school grounds, but they take the kids off campus, and they're learning the Bible. There's 1,000 kids in the Defiance, Ayersville area that are learning the Bible, and it is spreading. Next year, all of the Henry County schools will have this in their schools.
Wow. Wow. Praise God. Mildred, that's wonderful news. It's called LifeWise Academy. LifeWise Academy. And they're reaching out to school children, and I guess in cooperation with parents, getting them off campus to teach them the Word of God, and that this is really spreading. That's wonderful.
They have to have the parents' permission, to do
mm-hmm.
that. But most of the parents, it's just amazing.
Amen. Amen. Wow. Mildred, I'm going to look into that, but thank you so much for the call. That's very, very encouraging news. And once again, folks, I'm telling you, there is an awakening going on in our country. I mean, we may be just seeing the seedlings just sprouting through the ground, but all over the place we're seeing things pop up, because I think that the more people see what is going on in our government, what is going on in our culture, the more they're looking for something that is solid and unshakable and stable. And where do we go for that? We go to God. We go to His Word. So this is wonderful news. Thank you so much, Mildred. Let's go to Anna in Virginia. Anna, welcome. Anna in Virginia, you are on.
Hey, hoorah, this is Jackson. How you doing?
Hoorah, Anna. I'm doing great. How about you?
Well, thank you for taking my call. I wanted to address two issues.
Mm-hmm.
The blacks, they kill me because they're first complaining that what is what is man? What is a woman? There's no such thing. We want, non-binary.
Right.
So they're complaining about being a woman is dangerous online. Well, wait a minute. Didn't you just say that there's no such thing as a woman? I mean, they speak with horses' tongues.
Yeah, it's confusion.
Yes, absolutely. God has definitely given them unto themselves. And the other thing was the flags flying. Their flags offend me. Those little rainbow flags and all their flags they want to fly, they offend me as well, too. But, they don't stand for our nation, which is where they're living. So, yeah, I'm with you. If they don't like the American flag flying, then please move to another country that is flying the flag that allows them to support their ideology. Let's see, China doesn't allow
Yeah. Try it.
Anyway.
Anna, thank you. Thank you so much, Anna. God bless you. Yeah, folks, I'm very, very serious about this. Yeah, why don't they leave? I mean, if you really think that this country, in fact, this is the thought I had during the break, and I'll just share it with you all. America's never going to be a socialist utopia that these people think they're going to create. It's just not going to happen. Because we patriotic Americans know that means the complete loss of our freedom. And folks, I don't mind saying, I think all of us probably agree, there would be a civil war before that would happen. Because we're not surrendering our freedom. We're not surrendering our guns. We're not surrendering our First Amendment rights. We're not surrendering our religious liberty. We're not surrendering our freedom of speech. It just is not going to happen. So all these people running around the country like these little disinformation people, the little disinformation board, they would just do better just to leave and go somewhere else where they think like communist China, and I'm very serious about that, or like Cuba, or Vietnam, or some country where they go to North Korea, some country where they feel they've got the kind of totalitarian control of the population that they really want. Because it's never going to happen here. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, I don't, here again, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just saying as a practical matter, give it up. Because you're not going to get what you want. And the more they show what they really want, the more likely, the less likely what they really want is ever going to happen. Because all they're doing is getting our backs up. That's all they are doing. So, look, God bless you, Anna. You are absolutely right. There's no such thing as men and women. But you got to stop offending women. Well, what is it we're offending? You don't even, there's the thing you claim we're offending, you claim doesn't exist. I mean, Harvard, don't call them pregnant women. There's no such thing. Call them birthing persons, because everybody knows that a man can have a baby. Yeah, no. Only some idiots at Harvard and a few other places believe that. So, folks, we are winning. Praise God. Back in a moment.
We find our identity and we celebrate the things that Jesus has done in our lives rather than our identity as being broken humans.
Authenticity and the Young Christian, an article by Jordan Chambly.
That's a good place to start, but then we move on. We take the next step and we say, but Jesus has done this for me, and then that is what we show the world, not just our brokenness.
To read this article, visit afa.net/The Stand. What does the American Family Association stand for? AFA upholds the truth that all human beings, including the unborn, are created in the image of God and are worthy of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These values and more are part of our mission to inform, equip, and activate individuals to strengthen the moral foundations of our culture. We also support the church. We want to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training for cultural transformation. Thank you for standing with us.
Judy Goodell and her husband set up a charitable gift annuity through the AFA Foundation.
What we love about it is that it represents stewardship principles that we feel strongly about. So we got very, very excited about this opportunity.
With a charitable gift annuity through the AFA Foundation, an AFA supporter can guarantee a permanent monthly income, as well as supporting the American Family Association for years to come.
We do feel convicted about really praying about all that God has really blessed us with. And so many people we know just want to leave it all to their kids. And we know the danger of that. And so we just are really just trying to pray through it. And God gave us great confirmation as we prayed that this would be a good use of the Lord's money.
Find out if a charitable gift annuity is right for you at 800-326-4543, extension 345, or email foundation@afa.net.
And I also think through prayer, we can continue to connect with their hearts. If my grandkids are sick, they know I am praying for them.
Cherry Fuller on Focus on the Family Minute.
Every day. And if they have something coming up, they know I'm praying for them. I don't knock them on the head with it, but I might send them a note or I might send them a text. Because prayer connects our hearts with the child, whether it's a child or a grandchild, and with God. And so God can build the relationship. And I just, as their teenagers, this is my real prayer often. Last week, 2 days ago, God, please help me stay connected with these teenagers.
Yeah.
Because they are so busy. It's not just that they're weird. Because I don't think my grandchildren are weird. I think they're awesome. But it's because they're so busy.
Hear more at FamilyMinute.org.
Back to the Awakening with Bishop E.W. Jackson on American Family Radio.
The number is 888-589-8840. I just had an idea. As a matter of fact, they could all these leftists could petition China to build them one of those little islands in the South China Sea, and they could all go there, and they could sort of be under the protection of China. I guess they probably want that because Marxist, Maoist China would be happy to have some Marxists and Maoists on a little island out there in the South China Sea. Maybe that would work for them. 888-589-8840 is the number. Let's go to Mark in Arkansas. Mark, welcome.
Thank you, Brother Jackson. Good talking to you today.
Good to talk to you.
I just wanted to let you know about a very important situation we have going on in Arkansas with the governor's race. We've had Asa Hutchinson in the last several years, and supposed to be a Republican conservative, and we had him last year veto a bill that outlawed the ban transgender treatment on minors, and he vetoed it.
Yeah.
And we found out later he did that at the direction of Walmart, big business, and that's what the battle we have going on in Arkansas, and we don't want 4 more years of that. Well, we got a race between Sarah Sanders, and she, since she left the Trump White House, she has aligned herself with the establishment here in Arkansas. That's a surprise to many folks. And she's taking Walmart money, a lot of out-of-state money. She's endorsed establishment candidates John Bozeman and Chris Hill, and they said Asa Hutchinson has done a great job with everything his government, with all he's done. And so when that happened, many began to have the alarm bells go off, and a good conservative has gotten in the race. I want to let everybody in Arkansas know about this. His name is Doc Washburn, and he's a true conservative who can stand up for the people.
Tell us, Mark, slow down. Mark, tell us his name again.
Doc Washburn.
Doc Washburn, okay.
D-O-C, yeah, it's a nickname, Doc. He's not a real doctor, but he's a nickname from birth, Doc Washburn, and they can go to find out about him at elect.washburn.com or Facebook, elect.washburn Facebook. Now,
Mark, let me just ask you before you go. I've heard that I was just in Arkansas, as you know. I was there last weekend, and I've heard that she's got Sarah Sanders. Sarah Huckabee Sanders has got $15 million in the bank. Does Doc Washburn have a shot at competing with her?
Is he competing with her?
Does he have a shot at competing with her if she's got that much money?
Yes, I believe he does. This is what's happening. Everywhere he Sarah is traveling around out of state at the big events, never goes to party events or little events to talk to people. Doc is going to all the people, and everywhere he goes, he's finding people who say, I didn't even know you were in the race, but I listened to you 5 minutes, and I'm switching from Sarah to you. Everywhere he goes, people are switching to him. And the momentum is building behind him, and that's why I'm trying to get the word out more.
Okay.
We have a truly conservative governor. We need everybody to go to the primary on May 24th and elect a true conservative gospel.
Mark, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate that. Glad to hear from you. And I don't live in Arkansas, so I'm not a part of that race. I haven't been asked to endorse anybody in it, but I'm glad you gave us your perspective. And maybe we'll hear from somebody from the Sarah Huckabee Sanders side, and that would be fine. But we appreciate that. I will say this. We've got to have strong conservatives, in my view, rooted and grounded in faith in these offices, because if we don't, we're going to end up with wet noodles who will fold at the least little bit of pressure. So, and we don't need that right now. As Ronald Reagan said, we don't need pale pastels. We need bold colors. All right. Thank you for the call, Mark. Let's go to, oh, you've been waiting very patiently. Earl in Oklahoma. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to make observation. There was a billboard that said Temple talking about the Harvick bill was unconstitutional because it was interfering with their ritual of sacrificing children, and it's ironic that the conservative and the satanic temple agree that abortion is killing children, but with this bill about this prenatal bill, for 27 days or something, that's not to be investigation as to the death of the child. It seems like to me that it's just playing into the hands of these satanic worshipers where they can do the child sacrifice, because they admitted that a newborn is the most innocent of things that they can sacrifice to Satan. And then also with these making the illegal aliens policemen in California, I think that these progressives are creating all this chaos, and then they'd be hollering, oh, it's so bad, we have to hire these people to replace because we don't have qualified policemen anymore. So basically, it's Saul Alinsky's book where they actually creating a crisis provided their so-called solution for it.
Hey, Earl, we got that point. Let me ask you this before I have to let you go, because we got a lot of people lined up to get on. This prenatal bill, you're saying this has been proposed. It's not the law in Oklahoma, but somebody's proposed a bill in which, what, you can abort a baby up to 28 days without any question or investigation. Is that it?
No, you can, if a baby dies for anything.
Oh, up after 28 days after it's born.
No questions asked.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, here again, that's proposed legislation coming from the left, I assume.
Yes, in California. They kind of
right. Okay. In California, not Oklahoma. Right. I'm aware of that one. Okay. I thought, Earl, you were talking about something happening in Oklahoma. I was going to say, man, that's shocking, because Oklahoma, of course, just outlawed abortion altogether. Earl, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate hearing from you. And you're right. They're bat crazy out there in California. Let's go to Dawn in Mississippi. Dawn, welcome.
Thank you, Bishop. Love your program.
Thank you.
I'm trying to be quick. I have a 2-point question. One is I saw, I believe, on Newsmax that President Biden is interfering in other countries' efforts to boycott Russian oil, specifically Germany, until after the midterms, so that it's not such a poor reflection on our gas prices and, again, on the economy here. Do you have any knowledge of that? And my second question is, I believe I also heard it on Newsmax that the Biden administration's primary think tank, I do not remember the name of the nonprofit that they call it, is 100% funded by George Soros. Can you verify either of those?
I'm not sure about either of those. I'd say on the first question that it does make logical sense, because if Germany stops buying Russian oil, that is likely to push prices further up. And right now, the Biden administration, I think, is in panic because they've got Democrats telling them they're going to experience a political bloodbath in November if something isn't done. That's where the student loan forgiveness and probably some effort like that to keep energy prices and inflation from getting any worse. That one makes sense. Whether George Soros is funding their foundation, I'll look into that. It wouldn't surprise me, because that's what he does, and they all, I think, answer to him. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I'll take a look and see whether we can find out some information about that, Dawn. Thank you so much for the call. Let's go to Van in Minnesota. Van, welcome.
Hi, Bishop. I have a favor to ask you. You are a warrior of God, and you're also a former Marine. So at every end of your show, you always say that line, and then I never hear the hoorah. I want to hear
You want to be my program director and change the format of my program, have me add hoorah. Okay, man. Listen, well, there's a hoorah in me. There's no question about that. And I'll give you one right here, another hoorah. Look, do or die. Hoorah! That's the Marine Corps, folks. That's the way we think. God bless you, though, Van. Appreciate the call. Folks, I've got time to get one or two more calls in. Let's go to Willie in North Carolina. Willie, welcome. Willie, please turn your radio down so we won't get the feedback. There you go.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Willie.
I had to keep it on because you kept me so long. I had to put the charger in the telephone to keep it charged.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you held on, Willie. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, this is important. I want to know, now, I'm not president like that. I believe in the Lord and He take care of everybody. But one thing that's getting me is He's sending all that money over there to them white, I could call Caucasians, Russians, and taking all the money, tax money and stuff from the United States and giving it to them. Have those people ever did anything for the United States?
Are you talking about the Ukrainians?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Willie, first of all, I don't think it has anything to do with the racial makeup of the Ukrainians, because, of course, we've been in conflict before, the World War II, as you know. We were fighting Europe. We were fighting Western Europeans, which is what Germans are, and Italians are. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think, frankly, it just has to do with this administration's incompetence. Because I think we wouldn't even be here if they had projected the strength that Donald Trump was projecting when he was president. But because they perceived weakness in Joe Biden, and because Putin has empire aspirations to at least rebuild the old Soviet Union in his own image, they figured with Biden in office is the perfect time. And I think that's why he's making all kinds of noises about nuclear war and all of that, because I think he feels like he's dealing with a bunch of cowards and punks, and that they're going to do what they've always done, which is, oh yeah, we don't, just like they told Ronald Reagan. Thank you for the call, to Willie. They told Ronald Reagan, don't challenge them. No, we have to manage the relationship. Don't challenge the Soviet Union. Oh no. And Ronald Reagan said, yeah, I have an answer for that. We win, they lose. We defeat them, and that's exactly what he did. That's got to be the mindset. When Putin threatened nuclear war, I think the President of the United States should have said, well, I'll tell you what, nobody could predict what the outcome will be, but I tell you what would happen. He and his country would no longer exist. So he better back up and start thinking rationally again. Folks, that's going to do it for today. God bless each and every one of you. And listen, because I love you, we cannot be defeated if we will not quit, because we are on God's side. Hoorah!
The views and opinions expressed in this
all right. You too, Randy. God bless. Talk to you on Monday. All right. Bye-bye now.
Faith, family.
Yeah, I gotta work with my listeners. This guy said, I gotta hear you give him a hoorah afterwards. And so I gave him his hoorah. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the programming. Hope you've had a chance to catch Wisdom Awakening, which is a little bit different than my radio program. And I really got 2 questions today on Wisdom Awakening. So please remember, every Friday is First Amendment Friday for both programs. It's all part of the Awakening Network. All my program is part of the Awakening Network. My radio program is on AFR, and obviously AFR is my radio network. But all of my programming, all the stuff that I put out is being put out under the aegis of the Awakening Network. And so at First Amendment Friday is going to be true no matter what we produce. We're going to give you an opportunity to talk to me and ask me questions. Got a couple great questions today. And so remember that on Fridays for Wisdom Awakening, you can email me and ask me any questions that you might have. And I'll try to, in fact, I'm going to try to make sure I quit early to start answering questions, because I figured, having gotten only one in the past, I'd wait, and I waited too long, and then by the time I realized I had 2 questions to answer, I ran about 6 minutes over. But that's good. I'd rather do that than not get any questions at all, so I'll try to end earlier and look to see whether I've got any questions before it gets too late where I've got to go over in order to answer them. But look, I've had a wonderful time this week. Don't forget, Stand America Awards Dinner, 17 days counting down. We still have complimentary tickets available. Get yours. And folks, these tickets are $150 a piece. You say, how in the world can you give away $150 tickets? Because we have very generous donors who have made that possible. And so I want you to be a part of it. If you live anywhere in the area, get your complimentary tickets. Just email us at sorry about that. Email us at awardsdinner@standamerica.us. awardsdinner@standamerica.us. And just say, I'd like to claim my complimentary tickets, 2 per person. But if you got young people, we will give you more in order to accommodate them, because that was one of the requests of some donors. If you can get more young people out, please use my donation to help do that. And so we want to honor that. So if you've got young people, teenagers up to 20 years old, middle school, high school, college, who want to come, please invite them to come. You can express your gratitude to our very generous donors who have made this possible. The tickets are going fast, folks, so get yours now. And it's going to be a wonderful program. It really is. It's going to be inspiring and uplifting and encouraging. And you'll get to learn more about STAND, too, because you hear me refer to it. Some of you may be quite familiar with it. Maybe you get our emails. But you'll learn more at this dinner, because we're going to be talking about the things that we're doing and the things that we are planning to do. And by the way, right now, for example, this dinner has got us consumed, but as soon as it's over, we're going to start doing our ads and organizing in the battleground states where there are Senate and congressional races taking place that we're going to weigh in on, particularly in reaching black and other minority voters to say, stop voting for these Democrats. They are destroying your communities. They're getting your children killed. They're having fentanyl come into your communities and kill people. They've destroyed families. They've destroyed education. They've left a path of destruction in their wake. Stop supporting them and give the policies of the Republican Party a chance, because school choice, public safety, this stuff of teaching people, young people, children, CRT and transgenderism, this stuff is all self-destructive, folks. It's destroying our country. It's dividing us. And it's all a bunch of lies. Hannah Nicole Jones is a misguided, consummate liar. The 1619 Project is a big, bold-faced, damnable, palpable, contemptible lie. And CRT is nothing but a bunch of ideological Marxist propaganda. It's a lie. You don't need to be teaching that mess to kids. And as far as I'm concerned, you don't need to be teaching it to adults either. But adults, if they want to learn that and they're willing to submit themselves to that, well, that's their freedom. But we should not give people freedom to inculcate and indoctrinate our children with this pernicious nonsense. And the children that they're handicapping are already the kids. 87% of black students who graduate from high school graduate functionally illiterate, years behind what should be their reading and writing levels. And they're busy teaching them CRT. In fact, I saw an article today, didn't have a chance to get into it today, but talking about the fact that they're going to suspend, one school department is going to suspend teaching certain subjects so they can focus on LGBTQ stuff. This is insane. And who are the children who most suffer at the hands of these Marxists, these socialists, these modern-day enslavers? Because that's what it is. It's just another form of slavery, primarily psychological, getting people captive, getting them on a psychological plantation so they can control them and use them either for their own sexual exploitation or for their political exploitation. So we're going to be doing that too, folks. So I encourage you, come to our dinner and then support us in every way you can so we can keep getting the message out. You know, we're competing, but I believe the truth has a power of its own. But we're competing against people like Stacey Abrams when we go into Georgia, for example, who's gotten tens of millions of dollars. At one point, she'd raised $60 million from George Soros and his little Arabella group and all these billionaires who are just as misguided and just as dumb as rocks. They know how to make money, true, but they don't know how to do anything else. And we're going up against them. And I don't have a George Soros to write me millions of dollars in checks, but I've got you. Got God and you. And I really believe that my slingshot and a few small stones will accomplish what a whole army of atheist, secularist, misguided billionaires can't accomplish. I believe that with all my heart. So support us in whatever way you can. If you can't come to the dinner, go to our website and make a contribution toward our work. Okay, the PAC side is standamericapac.us. That's for our strictly political advertising. The nonprofit side deals with issues, but we still do a similar thing, except we focus on issues, not on campaigns or candidates, because we're 501c3 and we're not supposed to do that, and we don't. Okay, we honor that legal line of demarcation. But you can give either side. You know, 501c3 contributions are tax deductible. standamerica.us is the website. You can learn more about the dinner there too. PAC contributions are not tax deductible. By the way, Stand America PAC is a super PAC, and there are no limits to what you can give. Okay? You can give me $1 million if you've got it, and believe me, we've got plenty to do to use it. But it's not illegal. There's no limits on what you can give to a super PAC. It's not like a campaign. We can only give $2,900, whatever it is, the limit is right now to max out for a candidate. One person in the primary and in the general election, you can give $2,900 plus dollars. Now, super PAC, you can give an unlimited amount of money. You can do $29,000, $290,000, $1 million. You can give anything you want. But I tell you what, your $5, your $10, your $15, your $20 contribution, particularly when you sign up to do that monthly, either on the nonprofit side or the PAC side, believe me, folks, it makes a big difference, a big difference. So God bless you. Keep up the good work. Keep fighting. Stand up, step up, speak up, and refuse to back up. Hoorah. We win. I'll be with you again on, tune in Monday morning. If you don't catch my sermon, tune in Monday morning, because Wisdom Awakening on Monday morning will be my sermon from Sunday, so you'll get the fresh message from Sunday. I'll be back with you live, though, Monday afternoon at 1 p.m. for The Awakening on American Family Radio. And then the rest of the week, I'll be on Wisdom Awakening live, okay? So God bless. Go to the website, standamerica.us. Help us out. But look, if you can't help us, remember, you say, Bishop, I just don't do it. I'm not able to do that. But I sure would like to come to your dinner. great. Come. Because we've got tickets available to you at no cost to you. And you can claim those tickets at awards dinner at standamerica.us. Awards dinner